All right, today is Wednesday, April 8th. It's around 1 o'clock in the afternoon. The third song that I'm doing today for my new album, Aggravated Empire, or Empires. I still don't know if I like the title. It doesn't really fit the album cover that I picked for this. Later today, I'm going to write or post um, a mini essay, I guess, of something I worked on last night as well about some of my favorite album covers and how they get you interested in the music. Some of them I didn't even listen to yet, but the album covers instantly connected with me on some artistic level, visually at least, that I was like, oh, I know I'm going to like this album. So maybe there's about 10 or 12 that I list in 101 that I haven't even listened to yet, which is kind of weird because maybe I won't even like the music. But I'm more focused on good album cover art. Sometimes, it could be an amazing cover and the music's terrible, so it's almost like a false advertisement. But or sometimes it's a shitty cover, but the music's so good, and it'll piss me off that the art is so bad. But anyway, for this album, I don't know if I like the title yet. But I like the album cover I picked because it's really simple. One last thing about that before I go on tangents. There's a car seat headrest, Twin Fantasy. It's like probably took them 5 minutes to draw the logo, or I don't know, for some reason it's just connected with me. It's so simple. It's just white background with like black sketching, but it's a really good album cover. I put it on my list. And so anyway, yeah, I was going through the songs I've come up with so far that I shared over the last 2 days, fasting on Easter, and then yesterday was safety on the flat earth. The one I'm going to share today is a little bit more upbeat. Last night, I guess this is where subconsciously the melody came from, the verse melody. I listened to a podcast and I'll share it about Skeeter Davis, the country singer from the 60s and 70s. You probably know her because so many movies and TV shows use the End of the World song. Don't they know it's the end of the world? That song that's pretty popular. I think even Mad Men used that in one of their ending credits, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe the last episode, I don't remember. But yeah, it's a really good song. But she's got a lot of good songs. The good thing from collecting vinyl that I did years ago, I would also find a lot of old country albums that were in really good condition. And my general philosophy was if it's a really good conditioned record, just buy it for $1, $2. Because I found a lot of good country stuff, Buck Owens and stuff like that, and Flats and Scruggs and like bluegrass stuff. I think his name was Bill Owens, maybe. And let me check that. Or Bill something, I forget. Bluegrass legend. I don't think it was Owens. I forget his name now. But there was a lot of old country stuff that I would find at estate sales and yard sales. Oh, that's it. Bill Monroe. Sorry. I was thinking Buck Owens. But yeah, I would find Bill Monroe, a couple of his albums. I like that stuff. I got into the bluegrass because really that's the Gillian Welch ancestry, I guess, the heritage that she fell in love with. And it just kind of interested me. I think it was the Stanley Brothers. So yeah, I can dig that bluegrass stuff, the old stuff, old country. So yeah, going with that flow of when I was collecting vinyl, I would find Skeeter Davis stuff, and I knew her name because it's hard to not recognize a name like that. So I would pick up a bunch of her stuff, and I actually bought one of her records that was reissued, the Hillbilly Singer, and that's where this song kind of sprung from, I think. I listened to a podcast called I'd Buy That for $1, which is related to buying vinyl records for $1. You go to a thrift store, Goodwill, even though now Goodwill's like expensive as shit. They're like $5 t-shirts and shit, which I don't understand how. I know it's for charity, but still, or it goes to a good cause, but still, like that's like what you can get at Walmart. You can get a $5 t-shirt. But anyway, whatever. It's a podcast and I'll share it. It's really good. They pick an album that's like usually in dollar bins and they'll share it and talk about it for an hour. And they did an episode on Skeeter Davis, the hillbilly singer. And I really love her voice. Like there's something so natural and organic, like she's not forcing it. And I just like a voice like that. It's different than other country voices, I think. It's less twangy, or I don't know. Not that I don't like the twang, I can deal with that. Or I'm like making it sound like I don't like it. I do like the Dolly Parton accent. I like that too. Or even the Margot Price kind of reminds me of that sometimes. And anyway, so yeah, I've really loved that album. I went through Skeeter Davis's stuff because I liked her voice that much a long time ago, or a couple years ago. And the Hillbilly Singer was the one I liked the most. So I bought that on vinyl, like a new reissue of it. So I would recommend that album. I never found it out in the wild, like going hunting for records. I would find other Skeeter Davis stuff. But that was the one I heard on Spotify or wherever, and I really liked it. So I think some of the melodies that I developed for this song, I think some of them are probably, you can trace back to some of those old country melodies. I was listening to Willie Nelson last night. One of his most famous songs, the Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain. And then I was like, there's a Skeeter Davis song. And it has a similar melody. Hold on one second. There's a Skeeter Davis song that has a similar melody. And it has the word blue, Color of the Blues. And I actually like that one better. I don't think she wrote it, but she sings it so perfectly. Color of the Blues. It's on the Hillbilly Singer. And that song's just such a good melody, man. Good lyrics. And just a good overall country song. Color of the Blues. I want to give credit to the person who actually wrote it, since, I'm sure a lot of people probably covered that song. A lot of country people probably covered that song. It was like a staple for a lot of people. All right, so it was written by George Jones and Lawton Williams, released in 1958. It's a really good song. Really, really good. And I think I actually like the melody better than the Willie Nelson Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain. But they're similar. I think they're different time signatures. One is a waltz. The other one was just kind of a basic, I don't know, whatever it is. And I don't know if I'm like subconsciously stealing some ideas from songs like that. But then last night I was like, man, there's so many country songs that have that familiar intro with the steel guitar, and then a lot of the country melodies are very simple and memorable, but they're memorable because they're simple, and they're memorable because they sound a lot like other stuff, which is fine. You could say the same thing about punk rock. You could say the same thing hardcore, even heavy metal or prog. You can tell where they're getting influences from. So it's not a criticism of country music. I like old country music. I say old country music because I think it's a better style. I like the production. Even when I went into like the Muscle Shoals stuff, I watched a documentary about that. Even that was more hard rock. Even like Rolling Stones went there, right? And like other, I can't. I'm not as knowledgeable, but I know they did. At least the Rolling Stones went there for one of their albums, and yeah, it just gives you a different feel. So I'm a fan of that. I like finding old country stuff when I went hunting for records, especially people I didn't know, and especially female voices. But yeah, it's. I hope I'm not stealing too much from it. I don't think I am because the main influence on this is probably the Skeeter Davis. As I was just relaxing last night in bed, I was getting those melodies in my head after I listened to that podcast. I was listening to the Phillies game, and then I got all these melodies coming out, so I had to write it down. So this one's different because it's a night song. I wrote this last night. I finished the last two verses today, but the melody and the bridge and the chorus all came to me last night instead of the morning. When I woke up this morning, I actually did have another idea for a song, but I didn't really work on it yet. Maybe I'll save it for later. It's called Talons, Talons, and it's more of like a Nina Simone type of thing. But I don't know if it's even. I'm sure it's probably going to be on this album because that's just how my brain works. I'll make it fit without kind of forcing it. But yeah, this is another. It's still, I would say, the chorus is maybe Carole King. I listed kind of like hearing the Casey Musgraves voice because that's like the modern thing, or Margot Price. I would say they're probably two of the more well-known country singers. But weirdly, yeah, also Dolly Parton. I put her down as probably kind of influential on this. But I also listed Guns N' Roses. It's really weird. I had November Rain in my head. As I was going through the chorus, I heard like the November Rain solo coming in. And I was like, I forgot how good that song is. Guns N' Roses, they're kind of a weird band. They're kind of a love them or hate them band sometimes. But you can't deny that they had some of the best songs. Like November Rain is all time classic. Even though the video I never liked, it's just too too full of itself. But it's such a good guitar solo that it's hard not to get sucked into it, into the cinematography of that music video because it was on all the time. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Guns N' Roses. I didn't list any of their albums on my 501 album list. Appetite for Destruction is a fine album, and I listened to it as a teenager, but it doesn't connect with me on the same level as I was hoping, because I do like them. And yeah, for some reason this morning I was going through the chorus and I heard November Rain, like, so maybe there's a hint of that in this song as well. I'm going to share that just in case you forgot how good that song is. It's such a good song. So let me go through this. After speaking all this, you're probably going to notice some of the country influences. But the chorus is very different than a country chorus, and even the bridge I wrote is different than a country chorus. All right, so I had to take a break to clear my throat. Let me try to sing this like I hear it in my head. It's not a complicated melody, so it shouldn't be that bad. It's called The Ruse, and it goes like this. Verse 1, and I'd still hear a female voice, so I'm going female for this album. All the influences I've heard so far are mostly female singers. I heard a little bit of Jackson Browne on the last song, and even Frank Sinatra, which was weird. But for this one, I hear mostly the country female singer. But again, anyone could take this song and make it their own if they really liked it. If I was aware of what was true and what awaited us at the end, would I ever write another song again. And if the dead could intervene, would the world be less obscene? Like the rain would fall and cleanse this comedy. So you can tell that's very country inspired. I'm almost fighting trying to sing it with a country twang because I don't want to fake a country voice. But the chorus is weird. I don't think the chorus came from any country inspiration or influences. Maybe we should act like ghosts, spirit world, free and clear, unrenowned, in the haze, just a mind on the verge of the room. So it's almost like a gospel hymn or some shit. I don't know. It's almost like a Broadway play. It turns into a musical when you get to the chorus. It's weird. Maybe we should act like ghosts, spirit world, free and clear, unrenowned, in the haze, just a mind on the verge of the room. So it gets weird for the chorus. I don't know what the tempo, if I want to speed it up or slow it down. I'm more leaning towards slowing it down because that's what reminded me of November Rain for some reason. After that chorus, you would probably go into some kind of an instrumental short piece. Just a mind on the verge of the roof. That's probably where I heard it. Yeah, I heard the the crazy Slash solo. Maybe it's a guitar solo there. I don't know. So after that, you're halfway through the song, and I would probably put the bridge in right here. I'm not sure yet. If the chorus, you go to verse 3, and then the bridge, and then the closing verse. But I think I like the verses that are like coupled together. So I'd go with the chorus, instrumental, and then right into the bridge. The bridge is also not really like a country song at all. It's more dramatic, it becomes like a musical, or I don't know, man. I don't know where my head was when I was writing these parts. And these are like overlapping melodies. So this is the bridge that will come in after some instrumental is developed. Only thoughts the past delivered, only thoughts the future splintered, only thoughts a simple finish, only thoughts chains committed, only thoughts the past delivered, only thoughts the future splintered, only thoughts a simple finish, only thoughts chains committed. Only thoughts, only thoughts. And then after you sing that, you would kind of transition into the final two verses, and it gets back to country music again. Only thoughts, only thoughts. And I'm trying to picture in my head like what the transition would sound like because you have to speed it up a little to get back to the verses. But that's what the song development. This is only the blueprint. All the instrumental stuff that I would like to develop would just have to come later as it develops into a real song. So yeah, there has to be a good transition between the chorus and bridge, and after the bridge to the verses. and an ending chorus. But so it's a little bit different than a simple old country type of ballad. And I was saying it's uplifting because the verses are kind of perky. Like that's what I think of with Dolly Parton sound. It's like that type of country voice. It's like perky and bright. Even if it's like a sad song, it's still like some kind of hopefulness in it. So that's a cool quality of that genre. So I'm still trying to think separately in my brain how to transition from the bridge to the two closing verses. Only thoughts, only thought. You probably just go back to violins and just kind of improvise something there based on that simple melody. And then you probably pause and then go into the verses at the end. So I'm just going to sing the last two verses and I'll try to develop something later in terms of transitioning back and forth to make it sound seamless. That's the hardest part, at least for me. I understand now why people consider the Carole King style of songwriting and even Motown, because Motown had a lot of tempo changes and um, instrumental breaks, and they always seamlessly transition, like from the verse to bridges to choruses. Everything transitions so perfectly, and that's a tough thing to really develop because I'm not really used to writing bridges, to be honest. Usually, when I'm attempting to write songs, I don't really think of bridges, but this type of music that is more singer songwriter style. Well, everything's singer songwriter, right? What does that even mean? I don't even know. But I just picture 1970s singer songwriters. I don't even know because that's the commercials I saw on TV as a kid, I guess. Like, was Meatloaf a singer songwriter? I don't think he wrote those songs. But, all right, these are the last two verses. If I ignore the counterfeit, then I never voice concern, like a miracle relying on the stun. And if the lottery chose me, will the heavens intervene, levied by the thunder of belief? Maybe we should act like ghosts, spirit world, free and clear, unrenowned in the haze, just a mind on the verge of the root. I don't even know if I like the last bit there, if I like that melody. And I probably have to add something to the ending chorus to make it more powerful, more uplifting at the end. But right now, this is what I have for this song, and I still like it. I like the verse melody because it's simple, and then it gets something that you don't expect after that. So that's always cool to surprise people. And yeah, I'll speak a little bit more. I'm already over 20 minutes, so there's really not too much to say about the influences of this. It's pretty much everyone I listed. And I try to listen to country stuff still. And right now, I'm not listening to any music. Not really. I'm listening to podcasts about music. And that's kind of helping my songwriting brain probably more than listening to actual music. A couple weeks ago, I was going through Fela Kuti's discography, but I kind of stopped doing that. I need to get back on that. And maybe listen to some more modern stuff. To modern country, I don't even know who I would list besides like, well, there's that whole Nashville, Amanda Shires, and Margot Price, Casey Musgraves I mentioned, and I enjoyed some of those albums the last couple years. Um, what else? The Jason Isbell, yeah. There's a different kind of Americana country. I think it's all from Nashville. Well, that's where it always was, right? I don't know where else it really comes from. But I would say that's the epicenter, even back then with Skeeter Davis. I don't know where she recorded that album. But yeah, I would recommend listening to that one. People who don't know Skeeter Davis. Where was. And I think she had a kind of a rough upbringing. Where was the hillbilly singer? The hillbilly singer recorded. Help me, Google. Oops. Hillbilly singer. I really should do research before I do this, but the problem is I don't really know what I want to talk about, and I like doing it like this, just as a stream of conscious. That's not going to help me. Where was Skeeter Davis's hillbilly singer? Supposedly there's a book about her, autobiography, and she had a rough life. Like her mom was all suicidal, tried to kill herself like multiple occasions or something. And yeah, I think she had a lot of painful stuff like that in her life. Skeeter Davis's 1961. Wow, I didn't know it was that old. Yeah, it was recorded at RCA Victor in Nashville. The album was produced by Chet Atkins. Oh, wow. I didn't know that until right now. Released on RCA. Yeah, I think I don't know if she wrote her own songs, but I don't care. I just like her voice more than anything. I don't think she wrote a lot of these songs, but I think a lot of country artists did it like that. Maybe they wrote, well, I know Dolly Parton writes her songs, but I think a lot of times there was a lot of songwriters that just wrote for different artists. But I don't know it was that old, 1961. So I thought it was more like the mid 60s or later 60s. But that's pretty cool. And Chet Atkins, yeah, I didn't know he produced stuff. So yeah, I'm a big fan of that album. If you never heard the Hillbilly Singer, I had to get it on vinyl. That's how much I liked it. Every song's good, and it's just if you like the way it was produced, I love the production on it. So go check that out. Check out, well, yeah, refresh your brain with November Rain if you haven't heard that song in years, because I don't think I have. I remember being asked, like, what are your favorite solos, having a conversation like that. And the first ones that hit my head are always November Rain, the solo and that, and Comfortably Numb. But that's probably what everybody says. I don't really have, oh, the Blizzard of Oz. I'm sure there's something Randy Rhoads, but I can't really think because I'm not really big. I'm a fan of that when I hear it, but I never tried to learn how to solo, so I don't have that knowledge. I'll go back to that Billy Corgan line that he said on his podcast, or he said when I was listening to a podcast about Siamese Dream, and he said, yeah, it's cool to be technical and to shred on guitar because you can impress people. But if the song's not good, then what's the point? He said something like that. I'm not going to misquote the guy, but it was something to that effect. And I agree with that. Like, if the song sucks, who cares if you can rock out with your cock out? It's cool maybe for a couple listens, but if the song sucks and it just has a ripping, crazy solo, you might as well just make an instrumental album of just solos. Like, I don't even know what guitarist to reference there, because there are albums like that of just crazy guitar instrumentals. But I think that's all for this one. I don't know if I'm going to do song 4 until tomorrow because there's other stuff I'm trying to work on. And yeah, I'm still trying to find a job. Anyone on the West Coast that has a job opening, trying to move out west and get a change of scenery. So, and ideally, I would like to work in some kind of a writing industry, or because I don't feel like I have many opportunities in New Jersey. I feel like it's just repeating the same shit over and over again. So yeah, I'm trying to move out west, but I don't want to move out west unless I can get a secure job, because I don't want to end up in a tent city during a hepatitis outbreak. So yeah, fuck that. But yeah, if anyone has guidance on that level, that would be great too. And I guess that wraps it up. I don't think I'm going to do the fourth song because I didn't even write it yet. I was thinking I would rush this one, but doing one song a day right now and sharing it like this and writing about it, writing a post on Substack and Medium, and I don't think I want to do more than one song a day unless it really hits me like it does sometimes. But usually when I get manic like that, it's a punk album because I can write those really quickly. I don't have to think about tempo changes. Well, to some degree I do. I don't want to say punk music isn't technical, because there's plenty of punk bands that are crazy technical. Like Metallica started as like a punk band, or Wilhelm Scream and Dillinger Escape Plan. They're part metal, part punk, part math rock. I don't know. All these genres or whatever. Is the music good or not? But later today I will share another post I was working on with some of my favorite album covers. And I designed over the last few weeks like 44 new album covers, because I'll talk about it in the post, but I like to do that. Sometimes if I'm really just not going to be productive in terms of writing for my book or writing for something else, I'll just design album covers and be like, all right, these will someday be, this one will be an ambient album, this one will be math rock, this one will be an indie album, based on whatever artistic direction I went in. Because it's true, like you can tell sometimes, or most of the time, what the music is going to be like based on the album cover. Most of the time. Sometimes it's a mystery. Like, I didn't know. I was going to say like the Beatles, or well, even with the White Album, but everyone knew who the Beatles were. It's more if you find a band that you don't know, you go to a record store in the 70s before you could look up bands on the internet, and you want to buy a couple records, you don't know, you would just base it on the album cover. Oh, this is probably progressive rock. This is probably some kind of a crooner, because it's like a shirtless dude on the cover, or Tom Jones or someone like that. This is probably some dance disco shit. Like, yeah, some of them are just too obvious. But you can tell by the album cover sometimes if you're going to like it. And maybe it's a bias. I don't know. There's a weird science to it. I'm sure people in marketing departments and sales departments, they talk about that stuff all the time. That we can't release that album cover. It's not going to play in this demographic. It's not going to... I just picture meetings like that, and I'm sure it happens all the time. Like the Spinal Tap movie. So, yeah, it's an interesting science. I want to look at album covers when I write this post later as more of a scientific analysis. Why do certain things connect with me personally? Because, I don't know, it's weird. It's almost like I want to like the album. I want to like it because I like the artwork so much. Like, I don't know, sometimes it just hits on all cylinders, like Nevermind, Nirvana. It's such a good album cover. And the music lived up to what was on the album cover. Or, I don't know. I'll talk about this later because I haven't done enough thinking of what I want to write about. Last night, all I really did was put all the information onto the post, but it's just saved in my drafts until I really flesh it out. But yeah, I guess that's all for this one. It's a weird song. I think it fits this album though because I still hear the Carole King type of. I don't know if she wrote country music, but she wrote like folky stuff, right? Like folkier stuff like that. And I kind of lump that together sometimes. So this is more of a country version, but there is some relevance. If this is like the Carole King inspired album, which is really weird to say because I don't even know her catalog that well, but it's looking like that's the main influence over all these songs, which is odd. It's very odd, but I'll take it. Definitely, she's one of the best. And I would say if people would list their favorite songwriters or the best songwriters of all time, she's probably up there for a lot of people's who are in the business and know what it takes to be a good songwriter. So yeah, that's very cool. I'm gonna have to listen to her other stuff because I've only listened to Tapestry, like I said. So that's on my to-do list. If she has, I don't know if she has other albums, but I know she wrote so many songs, and that's what I would have to explore, I guess. But that's all for now. Um, Hopefully tomorrow I get inspired more to continue this album, and maybe I'll think of a better title. I don't know if I like the title. It's kind of like a punk rock title, and it makes me think of like being constipated or something weird. Aggravated. It makes me think of like pharmaceutical commercials. Aggravated empires. I don't really like the sound of it. So I'll have to reconsider what the title of this will be.